Hello and welcome to our Pathlock Innovation Series today. We are excited to have you here as part of this session. Our session right now is titled SAP Security and Focus, Leveraging Dashboards to Stay Ahead of Emerging Threats. And our presenters today are Jonathan Strauss and Raphael Kelbert from Pathlock, and they will introduce themselves in just a moment.
Thanks, Stephanie. Let me start. I'm Raphael Kelbert. I'm here a product manager for threat detection and response at Pathlock, and I do that since 2 years now. And before I was operating as product manager the whole SaaS suite in Germany, and we moved over to Pathlock, and I'm happy to be here, and happy to have you all here interested in our topic. Jonathan.
Yes, hello. My name is Jonathan Strauss. I'm a solution engineer at Pathlock. Prior to that, I worked in multiple companies, also in the same field of interest, SAP security. And today we're going to talk about our dashboard and our dashboard strategy, and how dashboard strategies in general could leverage actually the overall workflow, interacting and having an overview of the security posture of your SAP landscape.
Thanks, John, for the introduction. But before we go straight to the dashboards, let's introduce the topic a bit, and let's talk about why cyber threats can't be ignored anymore. When you see the last couple of years since COVID-19, there's an increasement of 300% in cybercrime, and so it's a rising topic, and companies must be aware more and more about security topics. And that includes threats as well as vulnerabilities, and I'll come to that later on a separate slide. And also you can say that it costs a lot of money, so $10.5 trillion the annual cost, what they expect by 2025. What is going up to cyber threats, and it's just cyber threats, so other topics like vulnerabilities are coming on top of that. Also, you can check here, 7,000 jobs are open in the United States within cybersecurity positions, and so there's a lack of resources, and you need tools and automation to be ahead of that and to put something against these lack of resources. And also on the one hand side, there is a lack of resources, like 700,000 open jobs, but also the need of global cybersecurity workforce, and that's not just US market, that's all over the world here, is growing by 89% in the last couple of years. So there's a lot of more open positions, and the market gets closer and closer to the breakpoint, and you will not find a lot of resources to that. So be ahead and put in some resources. Jonathan, will you take over for the next?
Sure. So having seen those statistics, there are actually two main takeaways here. Visibility, and then of course resources. As already Raphael pointed out, how can you compensate the topic resources? Either you hire and you spend a lot of money, or you say, okay, I will have some kind of automation and use the resources I have right now, but somehow I need them to gain visibility. And then the growing landscape of SAP and the growing complexity of SAP, or in general IT, it's hard to be a professional in every single topic and every aspect, which you need to be to actually then proper secure. So you need to know what you're dealing with. And this is actually the root cause why it's taking them so long until data breaches are being identified. The lack of visibility and expertise in that particular topic. Next slide, please.
Yeah, of course. So on the next slide here, we see levels or layers of protection where you can start to monitor and harden your SAP system and to make it more secure. And the first stage, all of these areas are covered within Pathlock Group. So we can offer the perfect solution for every level of protection here. and you will start normally to define role-based access control so that you can say who is accessing which depth of transaction, and who is allowed to access transactions within SAP. The next level then you can add here is attribute-based access control, so that you can say there's a person which is allowed to access some kind of functionality, but when the person is not in the United States, but somewhere on a business trip, like in China, or maybe in home office, and not within the company's IP range, then there should be no access to the functionalities, but you will not change the role based access control for that. So you add attribute-based access control and say if there are several attributes like IP, location, entity, and so on, not like it is defined, then the access is restricted or blocked, or so it's blocked or it's covered like with stars. You can see the data, and then you can say there's an engineer in the United States. Normally he can access the data, but when he's on the business trip in China, he cannot access the data and download files and construction blueprints and put them to colleagues in the markets there or sell them. And the next level then is that you will put some vulnerability detection on top. So cover your system and scan for open vulnerabilities, like parameter changes, or also vulnerabilities based on the rules. Maybe there are some users with too large roles, and then you can put that as vulnerability detection as well. And last but not least, then you cover threat detection. So you analyze real-time data and analyze these data and put that in correlation maybe with these vulnerabilities or attributes, and then harden your system and detect data breaches and respond to that based on these real-time data. Jonathan, do you want to add something on that slide, or?
Sure, thanks. So as Raphael mentioned, this strategy we automate with our solutions is actually also a valid strategy also to have in place without actually automation into some certain extent. Role-based access control as core of your security measures you can take makes totally sense. Leveraging this particular concept in some certain areas where it's lacking by attribute-based access control makes also totally sense. Together with the hardening of the system, it's all about really to have here the bigger picture in mind and to define then a universal company-wide approach, a holistic approach to secure your systems. And of course, now we have been talking about the strategy and the topic and a little bit more in detail what those approaches mean and what they mean and how we automate them. But having now also the visibility on, okay, it's nice that I have hardened my interfaces or my system settings, that I have no SODs, but you will find a problem here. As we know, security is not a one-time job. It's a process, and it's a kind of a race between the good and the bad. And therefore, you need to have visibility in somehow a unique or a central way where you can then, as a manager or as a business app owner, have a look on a high level on those particular topics, and get a look and feel without being the technical detailed expert if my measures I took are really working and worth the time I've invested in.
Yeah, Jonathan, for that, you brought two great examples, I guess, and I want to put on the first slide of that. Why do we need dashboards? And you write down here what other analogy than a German can find in cars. Yeah, so explain it on our cars. Why we need dashboards? And first, it's the driver's view here.
Right. So thanks for the smooth transition. So yes, of course. I always try to make some not funny jokes here, playing around also with my German accent, but that's another topic. And the analogy really here is based actually on the stakeholders. They need different levels on information. As I already said, the manager doesn't need to know if a function module and a certain level is implemented with critical statements or not, because you cannot use this data. It's nothing. It tells them nothing. So having here the analogy of the driver to be a little bit more clear, a car, is as object. You have a goal, you want to drive from A to B, and therefore as a driver you need some certain metrics to keep the car running, to get from A to B. And therefore what do you need, depending of course on some certain car types, so on and so forth. You have different information you need to drive the car. Speedometer, for instance, of course, the tachometer, to see, okay, am I revving too high? Do I have to put in the next gear? Of course, for automatic cars, that behaves a little different. So there you have kind of also then a dashboard, the cockpit, which really on a high level is a form of information unified, or well, universally speaking for itself. So it doesn't matter from where you have a driver. If you look at the speedometer, of course, there is, especially between Europe and America, a certain difference in miles per hour, but you can read there without having good information or without you knowing actually how to drive. You can see on the tachometer, and you can see on the speedometer how fast you are going. This is actually the goal also, or well, an important thing actually also for metrics, talking about dashboards, that you have a cockpit where you can see actually the right level of detail that you can do your job. So first conclusion, of course, is for dashboards, different levels of information for various stakeholders based on goals. Means, as I said, the business app owner doesn't need a deep insight. For deep insights, next slide, please. We will have, of course, also different level of information there. A mechanic in this instance. Main goal is to keep the car running for fixing the car. And therefore, this particular person does not really require, or does not require for his job the speedometer. But only if the speedometer is broken. But the point here is he needs low-level information. He has this OBD plug, we can see there. It's a serial interface for getting information from the computer of the car. That he can read values from the lambda probe, the cylinder compression, so on and so forth, and then can isolate the problem actually within the car and say, okay, well, then I will fix it. So therefore, the dashboard could be the OBD2 analysis computer. So normally that's a small plug actually linked with Bluetooth to a tablet. And on the tablet, he then sees, okay, error codes of the engine, so on and so forth. And can then counteract, delete error codes, do some certain interactions, some certain work also with the dashboard. But it gives him then the right information he needs to do his job. And that's the same way with dashboards.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly the same with the dashboards. And in SAP, it's even one of the main topics when we're talking to customers, that they say, okay, SAP is pretty deep and you need deep knowledge to fix these issues, but the management needs an overview and want to see if the security landscape is configured correctly and if there's progress in eliminating risks and things like that. So, and that's my next slide where I can introduce it perfectly. Normally in companies, you have infrastructure and applications, and infrastructure is like network, cloud, database, all these things, which keeps the information running in the system environment. And then you have applications like IT, and it's SAP here, or Oracle, or Salesforce, so your business applications. And then you have operations technologies like the hardware itself, the computer, the servers, things like that. And for these business applications in IT area, in our case SAP, we offer perfect executive dashboards. And we will show them in a couple of minutes, but that's a view which aggregates low-level information, like for the mechanic, but for the driver, for the IT management. The IT management can see, okay, is everything working, and is there progress in things, and can manage the landscape. And for the mechanics, then we have these path log vulnerability management and path log threat detection dashboards as well. So that's on the one hand side all about configuration management and vulnerabilities. You can check on the other hand side, you can analyze your threats and can see what's going on threat level, and work with your threat detection then there. And to combine both in one unique executive board was one of the topics we did in the last year, and that's why we have it here on Innovation Series, because it's brand new. Let's start with an introduction of the dashboards. First, I will go through a couple of slides and explain it a bit, and then we'll jump into the system and look in the system what we can offer there and how it works. But let's start with the vulnerability management. Here it's called path log vulnerability management, and the next slide here is path log security information center, because that's a bit the older version of that. We will reintroduce end of the year a new version into a shell, but yeah, you can see your audit schedule. So you put up some self-auditing of your vulnerabilities. You can say there are several audit plans for several metrics you're checking, and then you can perform checks automatically, like once a week, and others once a month. And then you have one audit plan, it's running once a quarter, because you're checking all your parameters, and it's a bit more resource consuming, and you will not do that once a day. But yeah, you can set up several levels of other plans and run them in intervals, and then you can check the results of these other plans and compare into the over the time, how does the checks or the findings are changed. On the next level then is the threat detection dashboard, and that's a dashboard where you can analyze everything about your threats. You can see data collection and the threats or the events uprising, and you can see trends about your event landscape. But it's just to introduce it a bit, and we can jump to the system in a couple of minutes. And last but not least, then you put everything together in the executive security dashboard. That's the slide. I will let it stay here. And now let's start with the executive dashboard and jump in here. And Jonathan, if you want to put something as additional information, just jump in and edit. And yeah, sure. I think we'll make it hand in hand here, so that I don't miss any critical information for you as a customer here.
Sure. So based on also what you have seen right now, the two kind of different layout styles we have and different levels we have. We must say it's a kind of also a process to develop such a dashboard, because of course we as a security company, we always have the goggles or we answer certain questions in a way out of a security-based company. But the nice thing about our dashboard is that we developed this particular dashboard and also the more in-depth detail levels over a period of time together based on customer feedback. And this is actually also the key point. If you want to know how to build a house, you will, or the roof of a house, you will go to a certain craftsman dedicated only to the roof to get actually this particular information. I find we collected here very valuable information on this particular slide, on this particular entry-level dashboard, and then we can drill down really into the depths of actually then the technical level then also.
Yeah,
but yeah,
exactly. But let's start with explaining a bit which you can see here right now on the dashboard. First of all, you can see the business impact. How does the security assessments you've done, like vulnerability assessments and threat detection events, how does it impact your business? And here you can see it's a critical business impact because there are 4 assessments are running, and or 4 assessments are running where high critical findings are found, and you shall not have critical findings within your system. So if there are systems with critical findings, it's a business critical, but it's just one of the systems is production. So it might not the worst case. It's you can say it's not the hardest thing you can get, because maybe test systems are not that relevant, and you say maybe there can be some open vulnerabilities. You shall not, but it's on you to decide as a customer. And you can see the assets which are monitored. There are 5 productive assets. It's Q&A to development queue, and you can click on that and see a bit more information. And then you can see there's also a tag assigned to an asset, like there's an asset critical findings. I think it's a test system here, or test environment. That's why it's called like that. It's assigned as SOX. So this asset and also the non-asset are SOX relevant assets, and we can assign tags not only on assets, we can assign tags also on these audit plans you can schedule and you can establish. And when you assign tags to audit plans, like here it's a demo tag, it's assigned to an audit plan. SOX, you have seen it's attached to assets, but also to an audit plan. You can see the compliance status. Is the compliance status okay? And you can check which audit plan is connected to that. When it was last run, how the interval, how many assets are monitored by that, and how many critical findings do we have. And from that, you can jump directly to the detail level. We'll do that later, but yeah, it's possible to jump then and drill down and into detail level. But first of all, you can see the management can have an overview about your landscape. You can see high sensitive issues in your landscape, like exposed assets with critical findings. Here we have one production. That's the one here up shown there, where we have a critical finding, and it's an asset with an internet connection. So when you have internet access, direct internet access to a system, you can sign it in your configuration as well. And when there's a critical finding, it's more relevant than if it's not connected to the outer world. When it's just into your own network zone, you can say, okay, then it's not that hard, and we can close one eye and look around that. Also, exploitables, are there any issues on the system where we knew the issue is exploitable? And if there's one, it will shown up here as well. And critical CVSS, so if there's a CVSS score known to a vulnerability, we cover that within our policy and within our content. And also, if there's nothing known yet, and we can say, but the CVSS we would apply to that is like 7, we will add that as well, based on our experience and our security research we do with our colleagues. And then we show it here as well with critical CVSS. I can't show you right now the follow-up, but there's a follow-up as well, where you can see the details then, which asset is it, where the critical CVSS is rising, and yeah, things like that. Also, you can see the status of the vulnerability assessment. So how many assets are monitored in production and in total, and how many issues are there. And also for threat detection, you can see that how many assets are monitored and how many issues, and you can choose here like last week or today, and you can see it directly. And you can see there's a chart as well. So it's the trend analysis we establish here. You see both values for vulnerabilities, open vulnerabilities, and the upcoming threats. It's daily based right now, or it's monthly based. So it makes no sense to look at threats monthly, but you can choose daily here, and then it's more relevant. But then the vulnerabilities might not that relevant. So we decided to make it possible for you to decide, okay, I just want to see the vulnerabilities or just the threat, and then you can focus on threats because you're looking at the daily focus as well. And all over the time you see how long it takes to close vulnerabilities. So how long unresolved vulnerability will be there in your system. And normally you shall see it drill down here because it's a test environment. We have to clear our database, so that's why we have no findings in the last 60 days. But we have to do some resets here because it's a test environment. And from that view right now, you can switch to another one, and that's the inventory view, where you can see a deeper, or have a deeper look into your inventory. You can see the production, development, QA, and other systems again, and marked with the security status green and red. And also you can see the security patch level on your systems for development, QA, production, whoever or wherever an audit plan is running, because we have an audit plan especially for security patch level. And when you apply that to a system within production, there's no plan assigned, otherwise it would be drop off here. And when you click on that, you can see as well, it's the S4Q, it's the system, and there are 156 nodes missing. And you can drill down here as well to the audit plan results and jump on that level and do some more research. But because it's a management dashboard, we want to just show the KPIs here. Also, you can see that for vulnerability assessment, transport control we offer within our solution, code scanning, what we do with the solution, and threat detection. You can see these assets, and you can see, are there critical issues, and if how many critical issues on these assets are there, and the status. Also, the types of your asset, are there S4HANA systems like here, or NetWeaver, Enterprise, others like you defined, and which tags are assigned to your systems or assets here. And you can click on the system on the map here to show up some more information about a system, who the owner, oh, he has no owner established. Let's choose another one also. It's because it's a test system. I think they just don't type it in here. Yeah, but normally when there's an owner assigned, you can see the name and the email address, and you can see the compliance status tags assigned to that, and also which solution is running. So we can see here vulnerabilities active, DevOps, so that includes status, transport control and code scanning, threat detections online as well. And we have no exposed asset here, so it's not an exposed one. We have no exploitable here, and we have no critical CVSS. It's a green one, it's available, so it's a perfect example to show that. And last but not least, you can see that as a map as well, because we say have a central system point, a single point of truth, and that's a central system where we collect all the security data, and that's the one in the middle. And then we can see the connection is data collection running, and we see, okay, to S7Q there's a problem with one RC connection. You can click on that and you can see it here, which connection is it. You can see, okay, it's a broken one. To show it as a demo case, perfect, but otherwise, if there's just green ones like here, you can see everything is green, data collection is running perfectly. You can click on that and see the information, how's the asset security status. You can see again the security information about what's active or inactive on the system, and are there Ryzen exploited with CVSS or is it exposed? And then we see the asset details, and we can see the security trend because there's nothing active. Let's choose, let's check if I can find one now. Yeah, that's one. Here you can see the data, and again, you can see it both for critical vulnerabilities and threats, or just decide what you want to see, and you can see the unresolved vulnerabilities on one system. So it's this nearly the same view as the dashboard, but combined and focus on single systems here. That's first of all the first stage of executive dashboard, and then you can jump to one outer plan. And I just will do it quickly here to show you. You will jump to another view, and here you can see the outer plan results. So the real deep information about that outer plan running there with the risks. You can then see the risk by the system, risk by area. You can go to trend analyzers where you can see over the time how does the upcoming events to that outer plan are changing, and we see it's a periodic one. We run it like all 5 days or all 2 days. It's not that periodic because here was a 2 day, and then we did a manual check maybe. And if we do one, we can see that here as well. And if you need, let me go back to the trend view. If you then need and report about the security status for your management, we have several options here to create a report. Configured is for me when I click on the report button that I got a management report, then I can create or generate a report here. We'll just give it a second to generate that. And you can see that the report is created. I click on it, and then I can see here, that's the report. That's the executive summary, and I can give that to my management. Also, there will be some follow-up details, but it's not really a detailed one. We can produce detailed low-level information as well as a report, but as I said, it's not configured right now, and it needs a bit time to change that, so I will not do that. You can see there's a report we can create. And also then to zoom out a bit, if you want to overview just the vulnerabilities, then you can go to the System Security Information Center, and there you can see all your audit plans and the audit plan strategy and all these detail level and information which are not included in the executive dashboard, because it's not relevant for the executive to see in which frequent which audit plan is running. But as a security analyst or as a basis administrator, maybe I need to have an overview, a detailed overview about all my plans running, the intervals, the areas where the plans are made, and the detailed information. And here I can go through all my things, and also I can create a report like I showed you before directly here from the dashboard of that view as well. So, and then we can drill down here into the audit plans, and then I get more information about the audit plans. I can go into a special audit plan. I can see all the runs. I can see who did it. I can see the status about that. I can go into a special run and get the information about one special run then. So that's how we can navigate through that. And that helps you to see uprising vulnerabilities directly. At least when you go to the trend, you can see if there's change, like here, something must be happening here around 16th of July. So that must be something strange on the system, because there's something weird here. And you can analyze that. You can see the one before, you can see that result here, and you can see that one, and you can compare it. So then you have a better overview about the threat, or in that case, the vulnerabilities uprising in the system. Jonathan, might you want to add something on that here?
You rounded it up quite good. So this sums up the whole story we have around the high level, going down into the low level, also with the risk details, or we can get a first glance of the checks what has happened, and then we are capable of seeing strange behavior in the system quite fast.
Yeah, perfect. And then as I said, here you can see it's currently in the Fiori Launchpad, and we'll change that slightly to the end of this year, because the other application, the executive dashboard, is a single a standalone application, and we will put the Security Information Center also as a standalone application next to the Security Executive Dashboard, because, and that's the next one I want to go through, we have the threat detection dashboard, and it's already included here, and you can navigate through that easily. So click on threat detection then, and you'll jump to the threat detection dashboard. And on threat detection dashboard, you can see threats or the threat detection status, like are all my assets I want to monitor, or where I said it's online, are available. And I can click on that, and I see, okay, there's a broken connection. It's, sorry for the German, I'm signing in English. There must be something with the translation, or it's wrong in the system configuration. But I can see that one is broken, and I can fix that directly. I can see why there a broken connection to that. Also to the data collectors, because all satellite systems or all monitored systems have a running data collector for all local sources. I can check, okay, that one, we have no connection. Okay, of course, then we can't collect it. We don't get a status, so we say it's red. We can't collect data here. And then we see data sources, because on each asset we are monitoring, we can have several data sources. Like now we have 64 data sources available with let me lie, it's 2,500 checks, something like that, or events which we can filter. And so then I can check in here, and I see, okay, there are 3 crossed data sources on that system or asset, and I exactly know why, because there is no HR and there is no J2EE assigned to that system. So it's misconfigured. I can go to configuration and I can change it, and I say, okay, I don't want to monitor these 3 data sources because I don't get data and I don't have the error afterwards. And then it's a clear one. Excuse me, I have to. And then we get some information summed up here, like for the rising events, like the asset type and criticality, where the events are coming from, the users, showing the events, or from which one the events are raising, and also the data source from which one the events are rising. And because 3 charts on my charts are not enough for the customers, maybe we add a couple of more charts, so you can decide to put in other charts as well. So like these tags, because you can tag an event as well. And yeah, you can change it, but you will just show or see 3 at a time, and you can save that as well. But yeah, so you have to decide which one is in your focus, and you can change it slightly, then analyze that and work with that. And you can attach some filters to your events, like here, critical downloads. And when I click on that, I go to the event monitor. And now there's a filter applied to all our logs. Okay, let me go one step back, because there was in the dashboard. Let me check here. Let's say, first of all, we have in total, we have around 2 million events in the system. And when I go with this click, I just have these the focus on these 41, and I have a filter because I know there are 3 different events which I want to monitor as critical downloads, and then I put a filter on, and I can see that here, and I can go through the details of the event here, and I can check correlations through others, like same event by date, when the event is upcoming. I see same event by which users, by which terminals is the event rising, and related events to that as well. By the terminal, by data source, by the user. So I can go in a deep dive analysis here and analyze my threats. And then afterwards I can close that, and I can do follow-up actions with that. And yeah, so far to the dashboards. And I want to say a couple of words, but let me skip back to the PowerPoint. Yeah, I want to say a couple of words. What's the next steps? And we are working on continuously integrating our tools and our security solutions. So the next would be that we because I said before, we have attribute data access controls, and we have vulnerabilities, and that we can say, okay, if there's a vulnerability and a threat, and maybe the vulnerability says there's transaction code which is not safe because there's an OSS node missing, to fix a vulnerability, and there's a user using that transaction the whole day, and then there's a higher risk, and we will introduce more complex events on that, and we are continuously working and checking analogies and complex behaviors within our solutions, also with these data masking or attribute-based access control, that we can say, okay, if there's a user like that, we can block the user or put him on a blacklist, that we can say that user is not allowed to see anything any longer in the system without blocking the user directly, or putting the role concept to trash. We don't have to change anything here. We just can say we buy some time, and we can analyze the threat with more secured system automatically. So that's the topics we are working on for the next, parallel to continuously enrich our dashboards and give you more information on that. Jonathan, please add some more insights you want to give here, if you want.
Right. Thank you. Yes. So the point here with those or with the dashboard is, of course, the bait has to taste the fish, not the fisher. And right with that concept, we're constantly improving our dashboards. And wrapping up the whole topic dashboards, of course, we have some certain take-home messages. Complex landscapes, as we already mentioned, do have the challenge that having a more general oversight with the right amount of detail for probably non-technicians or semi-deep technicians prepared, that you understand what the problem actually is, and in a certain way that you can address it, that you know what you're dealing with, that you can take then countermeasures. And if the countermeasure is just contacting the system owner, telling, okay, there's an issue, we need to find now the person responsible and the person who can fix this particular issue. So in a large landscape, they help organizations, of course, to raise on the one side the awareness, because you can go in, you directly see what you're dealing with. But on the other side, also you can only counteract if you know what the issues are, and there the dashboard provides a detailed view. Also, the streamlining actually of the security operations is very important. Having different level of information, having or different sources not unified, can also lead to some problems where you do not have visibility who's working on what. And also then talking about also the multi-layers which we enforce, also talking about vulnerability management, also the architectural layers, the basis, the operating system, the database, so on and so forth. There you need to streamline and to say, okay, well, I have to visualize everything in context to, and in this case, in context to SAP, in context to the business running or which uses the SAP system. So you get the most benefit out of it. And therefore, with our approach, or in general with a dashboard approach, you have a centralized management information source where you can then go in and have a clear insight on what the problem is. And really, visibility, again, we addressed this also up front with the statistic, that actually finding an issue, or that you have an issue, having clear insights on the issue, combined with the lack of resources, can be to some certain extent be compensated by having a dashboard in place which really pinpoints then actually the needle in the haystack and illustrate where you have issues and document, of course, those issues. And at the end, of course, as always, keep your security up to date. And by that, we mean not only patch your systems, update your systems, and the classical have your gateway files in place, but also very important, do not forget also the human resource your company is dealing with, because at the end, if you have the best security concept, so having this holistic approach, securing on multiple levels, if, as I said, if one link in the chain of securing your system is weak, the chain will most certainly be broken at this particular link. And if this is the end user actually, because you did not educate them as a system owner, as employer, then of course you can have the best security measures, but they will be broken because someone clicked a certain attachment or so on and so forth.
So thanks, Jonathan. I think that's the time where you will jump in, Stephanie, and there's one slide for you.
Yes, thank you, Jonathan and Raphael, for your presentation. If you do have any questions, please type them now into the questions box. Looks like we have a question here. The question is, what are the prerequisites or applications that are required for these dashboards to work? And are these only SAP specific, or can they be universal for non-SAP applications?
Well, talking about our solution, we focus with the solution we have seen right here on our SAP side of business, but we do have dashboards with our cloud application, which is also capable to monitor to some certain extent also the security posture of non-SAP systems. What you have seen here comes as a transport for SAP systems, a single transport you deploy on your system, and you need there, of course, some certain requirements in terms of version. We're talking here for the dashboard in HANA systems, 1909 release and above, which we support. And this is the overall requirements to have those dashboards, this dashboard.
Okay, perfect. Thank you for that answer. Again, if you do have any more questions, please email us at info@pathlock.com. And we just want to thank everyone for coming and hope to see you at future events.